one. So I'm going to be starting off by clipping down my toenails. I'm using a straight edge toenail clipper. It's just so much easier, especially when you're trying to get that square shape. And I'm just going to be taking them down as far as possible without cutting like any hyponychium or anything like that. My baby has been around for me. Kingdoms are falling, angels be calling. None of that could ever make me leave. Yeah. Every time I look into your eyes, I see it. You're all I need. Every time I get a bit inside, I feel it. And now I'm taking my cuticle pusher. I'm just gonna be pushing back my cuticles. I kind of already did this off camera, so it's kind of pointless, but I still wanted to show you guys what I was doing. And you just want to push them back as far as possible without damaging, your nail bed or anything like that. And then I'm taking a medium grit sanding band with my QR Sky drill on speed, I believe it was like 7, and just roughing up my nail and also getting any dead skin off of the nail plate.
Just to be thankful that I had days full of you, before it winds down into.
So now I'm just taking some alcohol and just wiping away all the dust from my nails. I do find this a little bit better than just dusting them off because you will really get all the dust from any crease in your toe. I'm using a lint-free wipe as well with it just to make sure there's not going to be anything there. And now I'm taking my pH balm from Gelish and using that to prep. And I did do 2 coats of this just to make sure, just so that my toes last long. I know you're not really supposed to, you're supposed to do 1, but I felt like I needed to add 2. And then I'm on top of that, I'm using No Lift Primer. And now you're ready to do application. So I'm taking my Pana brush in a size 6 for my toes, just because you don't want to pick up a lot of product, so it's just easier if you start off with a smaller brush to begin with. And I am using the Valentino Soft Touch color with C and D's retention monomer, and I'm just like patting it into place. You want to do try to use dryer beads. It was a little cold where I was at, so it was like a little bit runnier, but you do want to try to use dryer beads because you just want to basically sculpt the toenail into that shape that you want. And I know it's the square shape because that's what's trendy right now, is just the nice clean square shaped nails. So you see I'm patting it into place and then trying to get any excess product that I don't need. And only God knows why I decided to go to that toe. I'm pretty sure it's because my bead was a little bit too big for the next toe, so I just put it on this one. And as you see here, it's a little too runny, but I'm making it work. And I'm just sculpting my toenail once again. Like I said, you want to get away any excess that you can, and then just sculpt it back into place, into that square shape that you want. And I'm just checking my sides, patting it down, because if you pat it down, you'll get the flattest toenail possible, because you don't want it to be too thick because it is on your toe. You gotta put your shoes on. And I am taking the back of my cuticle pusher to kind of clean up my shape a little bit. And like I said, just want to pat and shape. And then here you can see me tapping it into place by my cuticle area, so it's not flooded. And you kind of want to also have your foot in a downward position, just so you can ensure that you're not going to get any flooding. You kind of want to just curl them down a little bit. Just to really help if you have runnier beads, to help it from flooding your cuticle. And here you can see it again of what I mean, I'm tapping it into the cuticle just so it's not flooding. And I'm gonna be putting my toe in a certain position just to make sure it don't flood, and just tapping it into place and checking my shape, making it square. And even if you don't get it perfectly square, like when you first do your application, you can always go back in with a file. But for my big toe, I do it a little bit differently. I kind of do it how I would do like acrylic nails, by taking a bead halfway through, and then I'm using the first bead to like kind of give myself that square shape that I want. So you can see me like trying to pat it into place and then sculpt it as well. You see me checking my sides, patting it, pulling it a little bit. And I don't want it to be too long, so this is probably about how long I want it. And then I'm going to take another bead and try to like fill in the back space. But unfortunately, this bead was a little too small, so I had to like only use it on half my nail and then go back in with another bead to kind of like fix that imperfection. But you can see me still here pulling the acrylic to like make that square shape. And you can never do too many beads. Like, just do as many beads as you need to get that shape that you want and to fill in your toenail. Like here, you can see me adding that other bead and blending it and then patting it into my cuticle area. And I am going to take one more bead because the square, like you can see on that side, like it's not all the way there. And I was trying to pull it, and it kind of wasn't moving because it was already too dry. So you can see me adding that little baby bead just to fix that square shape that I want. And I'm just going to pat it into place, blend it so it's not lumpy or anything. My baby has been... So now I'm going to be seasoning my files, and this just ensures that you're not going to cut yourself and or your clients. This is just basically rubbing up an old file with a new file on the edges just to make sure you're not going to cut yourself. So I am going to go in and kind of lift up the product a little bit from my sidewalls. And if you wasn't to season your file, you would definitely cut yourself. So make sure you season your file, and I'm going to keep saying it because you need to season your files. And I am going to be taking my file at a like 90-degree angle just to get it as short as possible. And then I'm going to be pinching back my skin to really get into those sides to make it crisp, because I like crisp. Okay, so after hand filing, I am going in with my coarse bit with my QR Sky drill, and this is at about I believe like a 22 speed, and I'm just going to be going around my cuticle to kind of like seal it in. And when you're sealing it in, you kind of want to make sure you don't go too deep because you will cut yourself. And I'm also using this to kind of like flatten out the nail to make sure there's not any ridges in the toenail, so it's as smooth as possible. You can see me kind of holding it at an angle a little bit here to really get into that cuticle area. And here is another look of me pushing back that skin to get on the side walls and to lift up any acrylic that kind of like seeped underneath. And like I said before, you want to hold it at like a 90-degree angle just so you can shorten the toenail just as much as possible, because you don't want to really feel it in your shoe. It's very uncomfortable. And I'm going to be taking it at this angle. I think it's 180. I don't know. I think like 180-degree angle to like straighten it again. And you just want to repeat that on all your other toes.
None of that could ever make me leave, yeah. Every time I look into your eyes, I see it. You're all I need. Every time I get a bit inside, I feel it. Who would have thought I'd get you? Oh yeah, babe. Who would have thought I'd get you?
And I did forget to say that this is like a half safety bit, which just basically means you won't cut anybody with it. It's very hard to do so because it is rounded on the edge, so you can get like closer, especially if you're newer. It's super easy to use. And I also went in with like a cuticle cleanup bit, which just gets the rest of the acrylic from around off. And I forget exactly what it's called, but you're about to see it in a second. This bit is like heaven on earth. It just cleans it up for you and seals it in. And then I'm just going in with some alcohol once again to get the rest of that acrylic dust off of my toes. And you want to really get in the crevices because you don't want to have any dust there, because it will just make it look disgusting. Like, you'll see the dust when you're putting top coat. And I am taking the Creations like gel. I don't even know what you call this stuff, if I'm being honest. It's just like for rhinestones basically. I'm just going to apply that to the toenail. I'm using just like a random brush that I found in my area, and also using the Koopa top coat on top of it before I even cure it. So this is not cured at all. I did apply top coat just so the nail can be shiny like the rest of them. And I'm just going to be applying my crystals. I don't really know what size these are, but it's one of the smallest ones that I had. And I'm just going to be placing them on the whole nail. There's not really a wrong or right way to do this part. It's just kind of like wherever you see a gap, put a crystal. Yeah. And before I cured it, I just kind of like checked my placement a little bit and moved them a little around because they did slide a little bit. You just want to do that before you cure it, even before you even flash cure it, because it will just lock them into place. And look at them diamonds on my toes, okay? And again, I'm taking the Koopa top coat and just applying one layer of it onto my toenails. And then I'm just going to be curing it for 60 seconds in this Cure Sky lamp.
Yeah. Every time I look into
And here is the finished look.